It's time for Debrief, your quick wrap-up of TRT World's top stories from the week.
Is it better or more?
Do you pass my umbrella when you got a moment?
The military is carrying out demolitions of...
Okay.
Well, it's become a familiar pattern over the past few months. The US president threatens a large-scale attack on Iran, then calls it off while placing conditions on the pause.
When President Trump says that they will use forces that has not been used since the Second World War, it means using a nuclear bomb against Iran. And this is a catastrophic kind of political consequences for the United States and the international community.
President Donald Trump says the U.S. and Iran are talking, and this is the last chance for Tehran to sign a good deal.
I want to give them every last chance before decapitation.
We defend our own boundaries, but we are not seeking to expand the war or prolong the fighting. Instead, we must build a strong and resilient society.
Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson said that discussions were ongoing with Muscat on creating a new shipping route through the Strait of Hormuz.
A framework agreement for commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz is being hammered out between Iran and Oman.
These fundamental agreements with Oman have been mostly completed, meaning we have made significant progress in our discussions with Oman, and this progress is on the verge of being finalized.
Officials have reached an understanding on the geographic coordinates that would define shipping routes through the strategic waterway.
The fact that the Iran-US negotiations have not yet reached a conclusion is affecting the international community's focus on Gaza, but we continue to keep our attention on Gaza.
In Gaza, at least 11 people have been killed and several others wounded following Israeli attacks. Airstrikes hit southern, central and northern parts of Gaza.
They are lying to us. Do you want to know what's actually happening? This is a 6-month-old baby killed in his mother's womb.
Now, Palestinians in Gaza have laid to rest 112 victims in what is the largest funeral in Palestinian history.
The remains of 112 members of the Abu Sharia and Al-Hassana families lay side by side. They were killed nearly 3 years ago.
Trump's post about the second phase and President Trump and his support for this plan through the post that he published during the past few days places full responsibility lies on the Israeli side.
A reversal of what was meant to be a simultaneous process. TRT World's Mohamed explains.
Israel wants to exclude Turkey and Qatar from the Monitoring Committee and continue its assassination campaign. The Board of Peace has backtracked.
We will not withdraw from our current lines until Hamas is completely disarmed.
The Ugandan Parliament's approved deployment of troops to Gaza. This is part of an international stabilization mission. It comes after a direct request from US President Donald Trump.
This force has to be a neutral force. According to humanitarian law, they need not take any sides, and they will act according to that law and not take sides and interfere with any of the war that is taking place there.
In other news, Israeli forces continue to storm the Kalandia refugee camp in the occupied West Bank, and Israeli forces sent reinforcements into the refugee camp. Local media reported the Israeli army distributing leaflets that said a large-scale raid was being carried out in the camp.
They fired stun grenades directly at the journalists and barred them from covering, so it's very difficult to get a picture of what's happening inside, but what we've been seeing are arrests, and we aren't even able to get into the camp. What we know from people inside is that they are destroying and vandalizing the contents of homes. They are carrying out mass interrogations.
On the eve of the last day of talks in Rome, this was the scene in southern Lebanon. The town of Burj al-Shamali was hit by massive Israeli strikes, injuring over a dozen Lebanese. Thursday morning, newsstands were peppered with both headlines. Talks in Rome meant to bring peace, and the strikes on southern Lebanon bringing anything but.
These are the latest Iranian-backed Houthi attacks in Saudi Arabia's southern Najran region. It comes days after the Iran-aligned Houthi said that they fired drones at the Najran airport. Over the border in central Yemen, dozens of Yemeni government soldiers have been killed on Thursday after the Houthi struck several several military camps in the Marib and eastern Hadramaut provinces.
Türkiye, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan have all signed what leaders are describing as a landmark defense agreement during a trilateral summit in Mecca.
The three leaders signed what they called the Mecca Joint Defense Agreement, a landmark pact aimed at deepening military cooperation and strengthening collective security between their countries. Its most significant provision is a collective defense commitment, stating that an armed attack against any one of the three nations will be regarded as an attack against them all. It also pledges to deepen defense cooperation across all sectors.
Here's the news in brief, where we bring you even more top stories.
The fighting between Russia and Ukraine continues, with both sides carrying out long-range strikes across borders this week, killing dozens. Russia says it hit Ukrainian ports and military cargo in the Black Sea, while Ukraine has increasingly turned its attention to Russia's logistics network. And the one bearing the brunt of the latest escalation is the Russian e-commerce giant Wildberries, and the small businesses selling their goods there.
We are lucky that we stored only a small share of our goods at marketplace warehouses. Those who had 80 to 90% of their goods destroyed and bought that inventory with borrowed money are in very difficult situation.
A series of attacks this week targeted multiple Wildberries facilities, but Kiev's campaign on the company started in July. Ukraine says the online marketplace is aiding Moscow's war effort, something both Wildberries and the Kremlin deny. Yet the warehouse fires already cost the company billions and forced it to consider moving operations to Kazakhstan and Belarus. A week on from one of the largest mass migration crises Europe has faced in around a decade, Spanish authorities are scrambling to return to normalcy. Around 80,000 migrants crossed into Ceuta in a matter of days, a number roughly equal to its entire population. But most have already returned to Morocco, with only a couple thousand remaining in Spanish territory. Nearly 100 people died attempting to cross the border, and Ceuta's 5-man forensic team are rushing to identify them for those on the Moroccan side awaiting news of their loved ones. Despite the overwhelmed infrastructure, calm returned to Ceuta. As for the mainland and the EU, not so much. Following emergency talks in Brussels on Tuesday, the European Union said it is standing in full solidarity with Spain. But cracks remain underneath the surface. Spain is accusing some in the bloc of failing to support it after 22 countries questioned its handling of the crisis. Madrid also threatened Italy on Friday with countermeasures on travelers if Rome does not lift the border controls it imposed on Spain by Sunday. Over in the US, another win for the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. Abdul al-Sayed has defeated establishment-backed Haley Stevens in Michigan's Democratic Senate primary on Thursday, setting up a November race critical to Democrats' hopes of regaining control of the chamber. The primaries became one of the clearest tests yet of the Democratic Party's internal divisions over support for Israel. Michigan is home to one of America's largest Arab American communities, where anger over the war in Gaza has reshaped politics. Despite millions of dollars spent by pro-Israel groups backing Stevens, voters chose al-Sayed instead.
You're not supposed to be able to beat $70 million of outside spending, a record amount of money spent in a campaign against a Democrat in a primary in any campaign. You're not supposed to be able to beat that. And what we showed is that the power of our many is greater than the power of their money.
Al-Sayed will run against Republican Mike Rogers in the midterms. If elected, he would become the first Muslim to serve in the United States Senate. And there's a row over the future of football's biggest tournament. FIFA President Gianni Infantino is in the hot seat, despite recently abandoning a controversial plan to sell part of the World Cup to private investors. Europe's governing body, UEFA, says it no longer has confidence in Infantino and threatened to boycott the World Cup again on Thursday. UEFA says the issue is beyond the proposal. It's about trust in FIFA's leadership. Calls for Infantino to step down are growing, but despite the backlash, he's still expected to seek another term as FIFA president next year.
And here's a special TRT World Sports segment on Trabzonspor's new player.
Now, Turkish football just got a lot more exciting after former Liverpool star Mohamed Salah touched down in Turkey wearing a Trabzonspor shirt. After 9 successful years in England, where Salah became the top foreign scorer in Premier League history, won the English title twice, and even helped the Reds to a Champions League victory, he's now brought his talents to Turkey. The Egyptian signing a 2-year contract. He'll reportedly get paid close to $20 million a year, and he'll get a 20% cut of all the football shirt sales, his football shirt sales. TRT World Sports presenter Talha Duman joins me now. Unexpected? Massive?
Kinda, yes. All of the above. Because until last week, you know, he was in talks to join Beşiktaş, one of the other big Istanbul clubs. But it didn't happen. Apparently there was a contract dispute. He wanted either more money or a bigger cut of jersey sales, and Trabzonspor gave him what he wanted.
The money, 20 million a year.
Yes.
At first, I thought, gosh, this is huge. But I
Yeah.
had a quick look online. It's not even in the top 15 salaries of football players around the world. So
yes,
but it's still big.
One little caveat, though, while it isn't in the top 20, it's net. While the likes of Mbappe are getting $35, $40-ish million a year, they get taxed heavily in Spain. And so when you look at how much they get in terms of net salary, it's quite close to what Mohamed Salah is getting. And it's a similar situation with what Victor Osimhen is getting over at Galatasaray as well. Now, Osimhen in total is getting more money because of image rights and stuff like that. But what Mohamed Salah is getting right now, or he's up to get, is way more than any European club would have probably given him.
Now, obviously, he's had a fantastic career. I remember a couple of seasons back, though, at Liverpool, he sort of fell out with them because he wasn't always starting. So you've just seen him in the World Cup. Does he still have it?
That's a very good question, man. Look, the way he played, I think, signals how he could play at Trabzonspor. Now, we know Mohamed Salah to be that, dominant right winger, wreaking havoc on defenses, pulling the ball to the left, shooting, scoring. How he played with Egypt at the World Cup was very different. It was more in a Lionel Messi role where he didn't have to run that much. He was more of a creator. And I think with how Trabzonspor is set up, he could play that role and be quite successful. Because when you look at Turkish football, it's not as intense as Premier League football.
I think we've only got a minute left, but I think there could be a lot more eyeballs on Turkish football. It reminds me of Paul Gascoigne moving from England to Italy. Yeah. Suddenly, all the domestic broadcasters wanted to show Italian football. Yes. I'm almost certain there'll now be Egyptian TV channels trying to get rights to the Turkish Super League.
You're 100% correct. And let's remember that Trabzon, the city itself, the Black Sea region, is very open to Arab tourists. They really like the greenery, the forest, the weather. And so with arguably the Arab world's biggest football star joining Trabzonspor, it's going to, the economy is going to boom, no doubt, adding on to what Trabzonspor want to do. They finished third last season, won the Turkish Cup,